What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Another month has gone by. It is time to take a look at everything that I watched in the month of September 2022. Let's not waste any more time. This is my third time trying to record this video. I just had a bunch of interruptions throughout the day, so this is what I watched in the month of September. Let's get into it, starting with Jaws. Now, because this is my third time trying to shoot this video, this might be a little bit shorter because I kind of just want to get through this so I can go on to doing some other more interesting video ideas for later on this week. But with that being said, I did watch Jaws. That was when I saw it in IMAX, and it was an absolute blast. You can go check out my video on that. It was my first time seeing Jaws on the big screen in a theater, and wow, it was 100% worth it. I will absolutely go see Jaws anytime it is playing in a theater near me. Next up, we have my least favorite film of the year with Jurassic World Dominion. Yes, this is my least favorite film of the year because it just does everything so wrong to finish off a franchise. I actually do think this is worse than what the Rise of Skywalker did to Star Wars. I'm not even a huge Jurassic Park franchise fan as a whole. I absolutely do love that first film, but the other ones, I can find some enjoyability, but I don't love them. But wow, this film was a mess. I only made it through the first 15 to 20 minutes. After that, I just skimmed through so I could watch some dinosaurs fighting. But with that, moving on, I next up watched the Pentaveret with my girlfriend. This was an absolute blast again with Mike Myers. If you like Mike Myers, you're going to have a fun time with this. And there's a slight chance that they could do another spin-off miniseries with this. Hopefully they do a spin-off. I had a really fun time watching that show. Next up, I watched The Silence of the Lambs for the very first time. Wow, this was an extremely dark film, and while I was watching it, there were so many films that I was thinking of that had clearly taken inspiration from this film. And one from this year that I can think of off the top of my head is The Black Phone, where they straight up do the Silence of the Lambs twist. And once I kind of got an idea where Silence of the Lambs was going, I realized, oh, this is what The Black Phone did. And yeah, so it was a fun watch. I don't need to see it again for a very long while because it's very not forgettable in a good way, though. It's just one of those movies where I feel like once you've seen it, it's gonna be ingrained in your mind for a very long while. After that, I watched The Devil's Rejects by Rob Zombie. All I gotta say is I am not a Rob Zombie fan. I couldn't tell you anything about this film other than I remember a few shootouts, but I actually couldn't tell you what the plot of this film was. I guess I'm just not a huge Rob Zombie fan, and with that being said, I will not be watching Monsters. After that, I gave Elvis another try because, like I said earlier on in the year, I did walk out of the theater. My girlfriend and I both had a headache, and we were not feeling the editing, the pacing of this film. It was just too rapid, too montagey, too music video-y, and it also, the incorporation of the current music, the hip-hop and Doja Cat, just felt super unnecessary and did not fit the film. So yeah, overall, Elvis was not for me. I really did think Austin Butler did a fantastic job. Tom Hanks, absolutely awful in this film. I don't know where he was coming from with this, but yeah, Elvis was not for me. And I guess I'm just not the biggest Baz Luhrmann fan, but I did like The Great Gatsby, so I don't know. Maybe I just need to give Elvis another try, but that being said, I'm not the biggest fan of biopics, so Elvis, not for me, don't need to give it another rewatch. After that, I watched Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul. This is one of the bigger surprise movies of the year, where it's a darker comedy, has some very serious material, but it plays it off so extremely well, and the performances are absolutely insane. Like, they are so incredibly good, whether or not the film's runtime does drag a little bit, but the performances just absolutely make it. There is a monologue within the final 10-15 minutes of the film that's absolutely killer. And wow, I honestly recommend everybody, no matter who you are, whether you're religious or not. I'm not religious at all. That's even more incentive to go watch this film. This film is phenomenal. Honestly, it's creeping up on my list this year of my favorite films because it really is. It's hilarious, but it handles these really suggestive dark materials in ways that are fairly easy to grasp onto. I'm going to make these next two quick because I do have reviews for the both of these films, and that is Nope and Barbarian. Sorry about that, my phone's going off. But Nope and Barbarian are two of my favorite films from this year. Nope was not necessarily as scary as I was expecting it to be, and Barbarian was scarier than I was expecting it to be. So both of those films, they've got pros and cons about them, but if you want to hear my full thoughts on both of those films, you can go check out my reviews. Next up, I watched Men, which I actually think I have that backwards because I think I watched Men before Barbarian. And with that said, Barbarian is the superior version of Men. Barbarian is what Men should have and could have been. And it's weird that both of these films came out this year when they do have relatively similar plots. I'll say that lightly, but they play out in such different ways. And one is extremely believable, and one of them really just is quite cringy at times. Next up, I watched RRR, which is an Indian film, an action Bollywood-style film. It is insane. It is just constant, like, adrenaline rush. So if you're looking for something that you do have to pay attention to because you will have to read subtitles most likely, but if you're just looking for a fun time, I would say, like, if you're in for a cozy Saturday, speaking this October, maybe you're not into horror a bunch, but you like action, things like that, I would maybe give RRR a chance on Netflix because you could just throw on some sweats. It's one of those movies where you'll definitely have to pause it because it is 3.5 hours long. It does fly by, but with that being said, you can pause it, get up, go to the bathroom, go grab some snacks, and then really get back into this awesome story. Moving on to another big disappointment for the year, which was Uma. I wasn't actually expecting this film to be super great. I did think the trailers looked pretty generic, but I still thought it would be relatively fun, and boy was I wrong. It was extremely boring, and I don't like saying that, but yeah, this film really was, like, it wasn't fun to watch, and that sucks to say, because nobody likes hearing that about their own film. Like, I want people to, whether or not you end up loving it or liking it, you just want people to have fun at the end of the day, I feel like, and I did not have fun with Uma. That being said, I will not give this film another chance. The story is very generic, and the jump scares do not work. They are extremely predictable. Moving on. After Uma, I watched the making of Thor Love and Thunder in hopes of making my feelings of Thor Love and Thunder lighten a little, and I was wrong. It just solidified my thoughts that I really was not a fan of Thor Love and Thunder, and it really seems like a film where Chris Hemsworth and Taika Waititi are just making it for fun, just making it for money, which, again, I get on their part. You know, being in this industry, again, they probably just, they want to do something for them. They want to just go out there and kind of goof off, which I do kind of get, but this movie was not enjoyable. It has like 60, 70 jokes, and I swear only 5 to 8 of them landed. It just was not an enjoyable experience for me. After that, I watched Cop Shop. I really don't have much to say about this film other than it was a fun, quick experience. I'm glad that it kind of flew by. It is very forgettable, but it does have some fun kills. Moving on. After that, I watched Gone in the Night, which was a film that I was actually really excited for because it had Winona Ryder, and it was the first film that I had seen her in since her return in Stranger Things, and I was really excited. It was originally titled Cow, so I was really curious just simply based on her and the title. But this film was honestly a really big letdown. It had some good suspense building up through the first act. The second act was pretty strong too, but the twist and the final conclusion really just does not work. The entire film is extremely forgettable. This is honestly one film I would say you could sit out on. Next up, I watched The Innocence, and honestly, I wish I would have done a review on this film right after I watched it because it was one of the most shocking films from this year. It plays out in a fairly straightforward way. You can kind of see where things are going, and then there's a few twists on some things that you've seen before, and it's just extremely shocking. This and Speak No Evil, which we will talk about in just a little bit, but this and Speak No Evil are easily the two most shocking films from this year, and they both have to do with children. That's all I will say. This film, though, however, is one film that I would absolutely rewatch, and I would actually even purchase this film because there's quite a bit that I feel like I could get out of it on rewatch. whereas Speak No Evil, which we'll talk about again, is just a little bit too dark for me. Next up, I watched The Lost City with my girlfriend, and I will say right now, I did fall asleep 30 minutes into the film. I was extremely exhausted this day. It was just one of those movies where we're like, hey, this is an easy comedy, and we knew that we kind of could shut our brains off, so that's exactly what we did. That's exactly what I did, and I ended up falling asleep. So the film, on that note, did its job. I was meant to be cozy and to be comfortable, and this film gave me that. So that's a positive from the film. I don't necessarily think I need to go back and finish the film. My girlfriend did stay up and finish the film, and she thought it was a fun watch. So give it what it's worth. Next up is a film that I have yet to do a review on, and I have to do a review on this film before the year ends, because that is Pearl. It is one of the most polarizing films from this year because of where it stemmed from, where it came from, and just how this franchise now came out of nowhere. Like, it is absolutely bonkers and wild and cool and entertaining, and I love it for all of that. But I can't quite fully grasp my thoughts on the film entirely. I need to figure out what I was expecting from the film and really understand what I got from the film and what I enjoyed from the film. So with that being said, I will be going to watch Pearl again before it leaves theaters. Next up, I watched Speak No Evil, which I was just talking about with The Innocence, and now that I'm really thinking about it, The Innocence is probably truly a darker film because of one core moment, and that specific moment in that film absolutely breaks my heart. And there is a similar moment like that in Speak No Evil that everybody's just talking about is absolutely, like, it's insane, it's so hard to get through, and it is. I will give it that. Like, it's a film I never need to see again because you won't forget it. That's for sure. But The Innocence is a film that you won't forget. You can go back and rewatch it, and then also there's one piece about it that I feel works in a way that's stronger than the way that it's used in Speak No Evil. I know that, again, we're talking about Speak No Evil, but it's weird because these films are so different but so very comparable, especially since they both came out this year. They're just two wild, shocking films from this year that were both extremely entertaining. If I had to pick one, though, to watch, it would be The Innocence. Moving on, I'm not even going to talk about it. We have Don't Worry Darling. If you want to hear my thoughts and my spoiler review, I have videos right out now for that. Don't Worry Darling, the review that I have, is my biggest video on my channel other than my Jaws at the Drive-In video. So thank you everybody who's gone and watched that and supported that video. It's really cool to see, first little video kind of pop off. So if you want to hear my thoughts on Don't Worry Darling, go watch that down below. Next up, we watched Spencer from 2021, and honestly, we didn't finish the film. We both got tired. I don't really need to comment on this film. It's not for me. Next up, I watched Hellraiser. Yes, the original Hellraiser. If you've seen my Hellraiser Hulu trailer reaction, you know that I have not seen any film in the Hellraiser franchise, at least until now. This was my first interaction with anything Hellraiser, and I had an absolute blast. It was really, honestly, effective. Like, the practical effects were very, very disturbing, and I did actually look away for a couple scenes. So, fantastic job for a movie from 1987. Again, the story didn't hold up, but I had already heard that the Hellraiser franchise wasn't necessarily the greatest, so I did have a fun time, and I am very much so looking forward for the new Hellraiser coming out this week. Alright, two things to finish off the month, and we have two very different things with Minions: The Rise of Gru, which, again, I will say I only made it through the first 30 minutes of the film and then went to bed. I got my gist of this film. I've seen the first Despicable Me and the second, I believe. I really did enjoy the first film. I don't remember the second film. After that, they all just kind of blur together. I don't remember which ones I've seen. I don't believe I've seen the Minions movie, and I haven't seen Despicable Me 3. But yeah, the Minions: Rise of Gru, it was fun from what I saw, but again, I don't think I need to finish the film. Finishing off the month, though, we have Halloween Kills. I watched this film leading up to the release of Halloween Ends coming out next week. I'm very excited for Halloween Ends, even though I don't necessarily think it's going to be the greatest film in the Halloween franchise. I do think I will enjoy it more so than Halloween Kills. Yeah, Halloween Kills, if you want to see my review for that, it is out now. I do actually think this is one of the films where it has no right being as bad as it is. There's too many issues that in today's day and age, and with how much we've come to love the Halloween franchise and with how many issues people have seen throughout the Halloween franchise, this film just doesn't have an excuse for being so poorly written. Alright everybody, that's it for what I watched in the month of September. I'm going to be watching a ton of things in the month of October, specifically Halloween related, tons of horror content, and with that being said, also we will be moving, so my video schedule will be very scattered. I'm going to try and get things filmed and edited in batches so that way I can have a video every day, but we will see. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Carter Scotland Allen, and I will see you guys in my next month's video for what I watched in October of 2022. Peace.